Okay, welcome to week 4. We're going to start with chapter 15. And chapter 15 focuses on what happens after the purchase. So was it a good transaction? Was it a bad transaction? What happened? Procedural justice refers to the extent that a consumer believes the process involved in processing a transaction, performing a service, or handling a complaint was fair. Critical incident, the exchange between consumers and the business, is viewed as unusually negative with implications for the relationship. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about complaining behavior when consumers complain. Consumers who actually believe that a company has responded well to a complaint are more likely to be loyal. So think about a time that you used a good or service and you had really exceptional service after you, I don't even want to say complained, but gave feedback that wasn't positive. And are you still a loyal customer to that place? Complaining is a good thing. I don't want people to ever think complaining isn't a good thing, because it allows a company to redeem themselves and earn back your business. And every company, if they're a good company, wants to do that. Just to tell you, while you think of a time, I'll tell you about something I saw on Facebook the other day, which is also positive word of mouth. But and I hope I'm saying this right, but the Bose headphones, the wireless headphones, Chris, you might know what I'm talking about. My friend purchased those, and they just quit working after 2 months. And after 2 months, he called, and he had no reason as to why they weren't working. He says he didn't break them. No questions asked, they sent him a free pair. And so what would have been a customer leaving and going somewhere else and finding other business actually ended up with a great service when he called for the feedback, and he is going to continue to be a loyal customer to them. Yeah, so I thought that was really great. I love it when businesses make a hassle-free process of exchanges of goods and services, because then you're going to have a positive experience overall. There are good examples of uncalled for complaining, though, and that's rancorous revenge and retaliatory revenge. Now, rancorous is when a customer yells and makes a scene in efforts to hurt the business. I think we've all, if we've ever worked in the fast food industry or, I mean, anything really, you've dealt with these customers. And sometimes they're just yelling to yell. Maybe they've had a bad day. And then retaliatory is when a customer vandalizes a business. And those are obviously the wrong ways to complain. Positive word of mouth and negative word of mouth. I just thought of women for this section, because we're so big about speaking our opinion about a good purchase and a bad purchase. You're obviously going to hear more. Customers are more likely to be vocal about a negative purchase. I think any time that they have a negative transaction with a business, they're likely to tell 10 people. So, and especially with social media and ways that other consumers can find out about this transaction, it's really important for businesses to end with a positive word of mouth, because there's so many options for consumers now that they really can be replaced. So here's an example of negative public publicity and negative word of mouth. So this guy tweeted, I don't tweet, but I assume he tweeted about British Airways and their customer service. Now, the bad side of this is that it puts it online for everyone to see, whoever's following him, and they might think the same thing, or it might fuel the fire, or they might not purchase anything through British Airways. But the good side of this is that British Airways can actually come back and maybe try to earn back this guy's business. So now, does everyone know what happened with Johnson & Johnson with the poisoning. Okay, so Tylenol extra strength. I think it was back, okay, in 1982, Johnson & Johnson had 2 customers that, and one was like, I think one was a college student or a younger woman, that took extra strength Tylenol, and they were both laced with cyanide. So 2 customers ended up dying by this product. And they traced it back to one of their factories in Chicago, and I think someone who was employed there actually did it. But this actually could have ruined the entire company. Not many companies could actually survive something like this. And at the time, how they saved their reputation was really, really smart, because at the time, companies just didn't do this. They responded quickly, and they took all blame, and they spent a fortune recalling their product. And I know it doesn't sound like a big deal at this time, because I think that nowadays a lot of companies do that, but this is what saved Johnson & Johnson. So I already told you, but there are 4 ways to respond to negative publicity. You can do nothing and hope it goes away. You can deny responsibility for any negative event. You can take responsibility for any negative events and be visible in the public eye. And you can release information allowing public to draw its own conclusion. So Johnson & Johnson actually took step 3, which was uncommon at the time. And of course, obviously, you're going to feel a hit of your reputation, but they ended up gaining a lot of loyalty in the end. Okay, so I don't know who of you are loyal Sam's Club members, or if you're going to immediately sign on to Costco when they get here. But these are just good comparisons for people that might switch back and forth. When we talk about switching behavior, we talk about being a loyal customer, being a customer to one organization or company, and then switching to another. But there's several factors involved with switching. The first one, switching behavior, is when a consumer chooses a competing choice rather than the previously choose choice. Switching costs are any costs associated with choosing one over another. So your costs are going to change. Procedural switching cost is the lost time and extended effort spent in learning some of the new product. So maybe for that you could think of, canceling a membership and re-signing a membership. I know I kind of want to switch to Costco myself too. But another thing you can think of, maybe more related to the phone industry, is what it would cost for you to learn how to operate in Android if you've always used an iPhone. For me, for some people that's not a very big deal, especially if they're techie, but for me that's a really big deal. It took me long enough to figure out how to use the iPhone, I'll be honest. And then relational switching costs is an emotional and psychological consequences from one brand of service to another. So when I think of relational, this was actually the example in the book, but I really did think of my hairstylist, because I have a hard time finding a new hairstylist. I just get loyal to one. So if there's a product or service that I actually get an emotional attachment to, it's hard for me to change. And then the financial switching costs, the total economical resources that must be spent or invested as a consumer learns how to obtain value from a new product. So like if you purchase a new car, you're not only going to have to purchase the car and the payment, but you're going to have to do new car insurance. It could be more expensive if it's a faster or better, newer car, and then also TTL. So there's a lot of extra expenses involved with that. Okay. So what do marketers really want? They want customer loyalty. They know it's easier to get business from a current or previous customer than getting new customers. Not only is it easier, it's so much cheaper. It's so expensive for businesses to market to new customers than continue their customers that they have. I like this quote by Steve Jobs. Customers don't measure you on how hard you tried, they measure you on what you deliver. So important. Customer share is the portion of the resources allocated from one brand among the setup of competing brands. Customer inertia is a situation in which a customer tends to continue a pattern of behavior until some stronger force moves him or her to change. Resistance to change is one of the biggest factors in why new products or businesses fail, because customers are not willing to change. Who has a customer loyalty card, and where is it to? I go places because of my customer loyalty cards. I'm not going to lie. I have Papa John's. I think I'm going to eat a lot of Papa John's. I'm not going to lie. Papa John's, you get a free pizza after 4 to 5 pizzas that you order, or deliveries. Reese's, you save a lot on gas money by having a Reese's card. And these are things that you would buy anyway, but if you choose to go to this business, you're going to get a perk for going there. I love loyalty card programs. And customer commitment, a sense of attachment, dedication, and identification. What are some of the businesses that you might have been attached to? I'm very attached to, as I said, my hairdresser, my gym. Those are just things I get attached to. But the things that I personally get attached to are more emotional. Other people might be different. They might focus more on a product, but I have that emotional attachment. So for me, it's when I interact with people face to face or become friends with people, I don't leave their business. But I'm also a very small business shopper too that way. And then anti-loyal. Customers who will do everything possible to avoid or doing business with a particular market. So is there anywhere that anyone refuses to do business? Because maybe something that Starbucks, okay, yeah, a lot of people are anti-Starbucks actually. But there's places that people refuse to do business at because of any moral beliefs or things that, I mean, I think it was maybe doing things like unethically. I was kind of anti-Walmart for a little while. And I don't think there was anything that I particular in the fact that I just didn't like Walmart. I don't like going there. So sometimes, and for us, you know, our groceries aren't super expensive. It's just my husband and I would rather spend the extra money and have a pleasant experience shopping than going to Walmart. Yes, I love Target. I'm a huge Target person. And there's types of loyalty. Functional, which is utilitarian. So functional loyalty, I actually am loyal to my dentist too, but maybe a dentist, internet service, or maintenance provider. So there might be someone that you use to get a job done for you. And then experimental, which is more hedonic, which is like the spas and the fine dining, the immediate gratification. So this would be my hairdresser. Okay, which brings us to chapter 16. Chapter 16 mentions a consumer misbehavior. When a consumer is actually the one that misuses a product and are not ethical to a business. So there's a lot of types of consumer misbehavior. We'll go through them. But not only can businesses be unethical, but consumers can actually be the unethical ones. Why do people cheat businesses? What do they get from that? So shoplifting, drinking and driving, internet bullying, basically not using the product or service on how it was intended, being an illegitimate complainer. Sometimes it's just moral beliefs or lack thereof. Moral equity, which is belief in acting fair or just. so maybe they just don't have that. Contractualism, beliefs about a violation of written or unwritten laws. And relativism, beliefs about the social acceptability of an act in a culture. Okay. I do have an extra credit assignment this week, so I'm going to tell you about it. If you have any questions, be sure to email me. I'll send an email out reminding people of the extra credit, but this is the only time I'm actually going to talk about it and not in a mass email on the live lecture. So I want you to tell me about a time, and I really want this to be at least a half a page. So I want you to tell me about a time where you work somewhere or witnessed customer misbehavior. Tell me about a customer that, tell me about a time that you misbehaved and you decide to do the right thing instead, and what event took place. So, like if you decide, I'm not saying that you necessarily did something bad, like you stole or shoplift, but what if you got too much change back from the register and almost walked away, or just something like that. Maybe you accidentally forgot that you had something in your shopping bag and you walked out and you ended up coming back to the store. Because I assume everyone here is a moral person. But either that, or tell me about a time where you witnessed a consumer misbehavior when you were out shopping or out at a restaurant, and what happened in that situation. Any questions? Perfect. Okay. Consumer problem behavior. This is when consumer misbehavior is out of control. So this could be eating disorders, binge drinking, compulsive shopping, gambling. All of these things can lead to customer problem behavior. And we all know these people. When we see them or when we worked in the industry, it's easy to point them out, especially illegitimate complainers. These are the ones that are complaining for no reason. There's nothing wrong. It's the same product or service that you offer any customer. But when they're complaining about a good or service that really isn't a problem, this is really driven by personal gain, and this really goes back to moral responsibility. Marketing ethics and misbehavior. So not only can consumers be misbehaving, but so can the marketers and companies. Marketers can be unethical and misrepresent a product or service. Most organizations have a set rule or standard for employees, but the media will portray companies all the time that misrepresent a product or even unethical behavior. So even though most companies do a really good job of it, it still happens all the time. We're not just talking about things in the 60s, 70s, 80s. We're talking about today. Who knows who this guy is? Bernie Madoff? Ring a bell? Can you hear me? Okay. Bernie Madoff was, he was all over the news, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago. And they have a joke saying, Bernie Madoff with all your money. He's a former stockbroker that defrauded thousands of investors for billions of dollars. He has a lot of enemies. So this guy was actually, one of the high-up guys, and he ended up, sound familiar? Yeah. So they actually had to protect him after they arrested him because a lot of people who were out millions of dollars wanted to have a piece of him, I guess, is what it is. But can you think of anything on a smaller scale item that you may have felt cheated by a business? And I'll kind of tell you a story while you think of something. And this could be anything. I know that it wouldn't be necessarily this, but I was purchasing a cake over the phone from a cake store, and it was supposed to be a specialty baker, but I ordered it and they promised all these things for the cake, and it was for my husband's birthday cake and the flavor, and I got to pick the colors. It was this long process, and I was really excited about this cake. I was a little confused at the price because I didn't think it was that expensive. So I was like, okay, this is a great deal, and it was out of town, so I couldn't go up there. When I went to pick up the cake, it was literally one of those cakes that you pick up at the bakery at Walmart that are already pre-made. Nothing special about this cake. And so I did feel like it was misrepresented. I mean, obviously this is a smaller scale, but they definitely misrepresent the way that this bakery is. Anyone have a story like that? Tell me about your story. I think everyone has a story. It's just you have to think about it a little bit. And I'll keep going forward, but you can write about it and tell everyone. And this kind of goes a little bit along with that too. So there's deceptive advertising and puffery. Okay, well, glad you could join us. Deceptive advertising is advertising that A, contains or omits information that is important in influencing a consumer's buying behavior, and is B, likely to mislead consumers who are acting responsibly. Oh gosh, I'd be so mad. And puffery is a practice of making exaggerated claims about a product. I think we've all seen puffery. We see it on billboards all the time. I'm not going to look like the model wearing the swimsuit, and my life's not going to be perfect if I buy that. But there are different levels of it. So, Consumer Bill of Rights. This was actually introduced by JFK in 1962, where he states, consumers have the right to safety, the right to be informed, the right to redress and be heard, and the right to choice. So he's actually protecting the consumer by setting laws against the businesses. One thing I think of when I see this Bill of Rights is I really think of the tobacco industry, the right to be informed. Okay. In corporate social responsibility, organizations' activities and status relation to its social obligation. So every company should, or at least usually they do, have certain things that they'll donate to, and we as a business try to donate to a lot of things. I think mostly we focus on organizations that are focused on children, women, or Christian organizations, but there's a lot more that we donate to, and that's just, again, social responsibility, doing what's right as an organization. Ethical duties are acting within expected ethical boundaries. Altruistic duties include giving back to the communities through activities. And strategic initiatives include strategically engaging in social responsible activities to increase the value of the firm. Okay, so what is this the best example of? Puffery, moral equity, or ethical duties? Right, it's puffery. I don't know what this product is, but if that really happened, there's no way we wouldn't know about it. we would all be spending all of our money that we have on this product. So yeah, this is a great example of puffery. It's just over-exaggeration. Okay, does anyone have any questions as we wrap up week 4? No questions. For those of you that joined us later, I did offer an opportunity for extra credit. So if you missed that part, you'll probably want to go back in and watch it. I do post the live lectures first thing tomorrow morning, and the reason for that is because they take 3 hours to load, so I don't get them posted tonight. But I'll have it posted first thing tomorrow morning if you want to take advantage of the extra credit. And I am allowing students who feel like they want the extra points or need the extra points to work on week 1 and week 2's extra credit until Saturday at midnight. So you can also work on this extra credit assignment until Saturday at midnight if you feel like you need the extra points. All right. Thank you all. I'm going to miss you. If you need anything, I'm going to be here for just another hour today, and then I'll be here from 8 to 5 tomorrow. But just email me and let me know, okay? You guys have a great night. Bye.